What a perfect day to welcome my capybara friends. What could go wrong on such a beautiful day?
2 seconds later.
I should have kept quiet. I ended up jinxing my day. First the freezing beach and then this. Let's keep positive thoughts and move forward. It won't be a little rain that stops me from continuing with the guides. Let's go. Hello everyone. I'm Nolan and welcome to my valley. I hope you are enjoying my guides. In the last video, we learned how to place companions on the map and how to use them in a chaotic way or in a well-controlled stationary way. If you missed this video, I will leave a link in the description. I think it would be good to see the videos in sequence, but in any case I will repeat and remember some of the steps in this video too. So it will be easier to learn even if you have already forgotten those steps. And today we will start the third part of the guide. This time we will learn how to move the companion in different ways in Dreamsnap, and we will begin to understand the companion's reactions to some items. Just like in previous videos, I will explain the method and then I will do an example. As you may have seen today, my capybara friends were going to help us understand the process, but with all this rain they ran back home. I'm starting to think it's not a good idea to wear metal armor in a weather like this. Okay, I get it. There's no way to continue here. Time to travel and escape this storm. Hello again. Finally a dry and cozy place to start with our guide today. It looks like all our capybara friends are already here ready to help us. This part will be very important for future guides. We will begin to understand the movement of companions in order to easily adjust companions in Dreamsnaps. To begin with, let's switch to an aerial view to better understand the surrounding environment. This is our airy vision this time. And this is the area we are going to start working on now. Note that this time I chose an area that has a lot of space on the sides. This will be important for future examples in this episode. It's time to place the companion house and limit the area around it. I won't use fences. They are easier to use, but I will use low items to better visualize the companion walking around inside the area. Always remember to leave space to access the house and select your companion. I added several rugs in the direction I want the companion to walk. Now that all the preparations are ready and our capybara friend is already in the completely closed training area, let's start. To do this, I will change the house and move it to the positions previously marked with rugs. Immediately the capybara will change direction. Even without being able to reach the destination, it will stop in the closest position it can. As you can see, it's not very easy to make it stop halfway along the sides of the rectangle. On the corners, it's much easier. Note that this time the capybara didn't stop and kept walking from one side to the other. This happens because the house is still very close to it. For better control than moving the house a little further away. The companion has a distance limit of 10 spaces from the house where he will walk randomly. If the distance is more than that, he will walk towards the house. As the distance became greater, the capybara immediately runs to the center. Again, it was unable to stop exactly in the middle of the side of the rectangle. Trying to make it stop exactly in the middle of the rectangle may not be very easy. To solve this, we can create a small extension in the shape. With this extension, it is much easier to control its position. Another option would be to place the house very far away, but even then it wouldn't be as accurate. This way is quite effective. Now I'm going to show you a problem when placing the house too far away. As soon as the house is too far away, the companions disappear. But in reality, he is still in the same place, just invisible and similar to a ghost, without interaction. This is probably related to the game's limitation. The companion's distance from the house is not relevant, but your character's distance from the house is. If I walked closer to the house, I could probably see the companion, but in this case, I'll just bring the house back. As soon as the house is close to my character again, the capybara becomes visible again. In my PC version of the game, this happens if the character is 30 spaces away from a companion's house. I don't know if there will be variations depending on the device. To use this method, it is necessary that the area is completely closed. Any small breach will make the companion escape. So it is important to fence the area or use items for complete isolation. Let's take a look around. As you can see, the area is already partially fenced, but it has a lot of vegetation, and that is a problem. Areas already decorated, and mainly with plants, tend to have a lot of gaps. To correct this, use small items that can be easily placed among the plants without attracting too much attention. Rafiki's bowls are a good option as they are easily purchased and have a low price. Check carefully to make sure there is no open space left. With the bottom and sides closed, let's move on to the front. Low items. I ended up choosing to continue using Rafiki's bowl from the Lion King collection. It is not the best item for this, but because it is easy to acquire, it becomes a good option. Another option would be the coconut setting from the Moana collection. Our area is already properly closed. So let's continue the example by placing 2 companion houses, and in each of them a capybara. Now we just need to move the capybaras to the front of the photo. To do this, we must move their houses more than 10 spaces forward from the item line. they will immediately take up position. Adjustments are often necessary, and this can be done by changing the position of the houses both horizontally and vertically. This adjustment is not usually very precise and will depend on trial and error. It is common for them to shake, but over time they will adjust. You can bump your character slightly to try to stabilize it faster, or just wait. But in general, with this method, they tend to have small variations in position. Let's try to take some pictures. It's not perfect, but it illustrates how the method works. Avoid placing several companions together, or they will bump into each other, which will make the position much more unstable. Ideally, leave plenty of free space between them. I removed the decorations and reduced the work area to this rectangle I'm in. Using a fence is a quicker option, but since I want the area to be clearly visible, I'll continue to use Rafiki's bowls. The smaller the area, the easier it will be to control the companions. Now let's put the capybaras back in. Their positioning is already very stable. Let's change the position of the companion's house to explore new companions' positions. Diagonal positions are the most stable. With these small variations, we have already completely changed the position of the capybaras. Let's expand the shape to try to illustrate the potential for movement. I've placed 2 cabbages in front of each capybara's house. This is where I want them to go. This is an aerial view of the current shape and where the cabbages are. By adding a new adjacent rectangle, I created 2 corridors with access to the cabbages. Remove some items, and they will become a single T-shape. When we moving the companion home, the capybaras will move to the cabbage. I will hold each of them in place and make them look forward by moving back their homes. This can be a good way to spread companions around the Dreamsnap area. It complements what we have already seen in previous guides. Creating access corridors can be a good option when you do not have enough space to place a companion house directly. Leaving corridors is also a good way to quickly change the position of your companions. It is interesting to keep this in mind when building the Dreamsnap, since the corridor can be built with the decoration items themselves. Let's redo the positioning of the capybaras, leaving them in the front, but we will change the rectangle of Rafiki's bowls with other decoration items. The idea is to try to do something similar to the first photo, but using a smaller area. This saves time when making the Dreamsnap. Building these small closed areas will increase control over the companion, but it ends up making the photo less natural. Make sure the area is closed. In this case, even if there were faults, there would be no problem because the external area remains closed. Unfortunately, the bug that makes items disappear is happening frequently in this example, and I'm not able to get around it now. But even invisible, the item is still there, blocking the companion's passage. One way to stabilize the position of companions is to place items between the two, or on both sides of the same companion. Time for the second example. As usual, we will start with an aerial view. This time we don't want the companion to be still. The focus will be on him moving, and this time I'm going to use 4 companions in the same companion home. Here we have a very simple layout with companion's home on one side and the cabbages on the other. Here are the participants. Let's start with a simple race to the cabbages. As you can see, they run in a disorderly manner. Let's start over again. Let's wait for them to return to their starting position. But this time we are going to put some items to try to make the capybaras run in a line. With a small change to the fence, we can change the way they run. Let's try again. As you can see, they are now running in a more organized way. We can easily reset the race. This was just a demonstration. Used directly in this way, it is not very effective. As it is, we have little time to take a photo, in addition to a lot of mess in the front. So let's improve on what we just saw. Do you remember that at the beginning of the guide I left a space on the sides? That was the reason for this. Now I built a corridor with a bifurcation, where the companion's house is isolated at the end. This structure will allow a good control of companions, making it easier to repeat the photo. In addition to being hidden, we gain a few extra seconds to adjust the camera before taking the photo. I've already left the capybaras inside the structure. Let's move the house and see how they react. As you can see, they are running in an orderly line. To reset, simply drag the house back into the structure. You need to wait a bit until you are sure they have gone all the way down the corridor before trying again. Now let's change the path by changing the cone at the fork. And this time we're going to put the house higher up, at the height of the cabbage trail. The reset process is the same as before. Although it is possible to build a more complex structure, the simpler it is, the easier it is to use. The structure I built is perfect for this scenario, making the capybaras move where I want them just by moving the cone and the house. Remember that this will only work in a completely enclosed area, when the distance between the starting point and the ending point is as small as possible. If not, they will try to take shortcuts and end up getting stuck in the scene. Let's open it again to the front area. As you can see, sometimes they are not completely constant, and they can make small stops in the middle of the course. The greater the distance, the more frequent the stops are. That's why this structure is important. It makes it very easy to repeat the Dreamsnap. Let's take a picture and end this example here. Although it would be better if I walked a little further forward for them to appear completely, this photo is good enough to illustrate this example. Let's go to the last point of this guide on movement. We will use items to force the companions to move. This type of movement is extremely useful for fine-tuning the companion's position, but it is not recommended for moving large distances, although it would be possible as it would be extremely time-consuming. To place the companion at a specific point, I use the technique already taught in Part 2 of the companion guides. Remember that the bowls are just an illustration. In the real Dreamsnap, these items would be common decoration items. If there are empty spaces, temporary items such as these bowls should be placed. An important point is that many items, even if they take up one by one space, may not work, which complicates the use of this method. To keep the guide from getting any longer, I'll simplify it and consider that all items around the companions are bowls. Later, I'll try to detail the peculiarities of other items in another guide. Let's expand our initial area. Now I'm going to move the companions one space to the right. To do this, we're going to place the bowl on the right on top of the companion's current position. Every time an impassable object is placed at the companion's current position, it will teleport to the nearest free adjacent position. With this, we can easily move the companion so that all adjacent sides are completely closed, with only one free space. For every movement of one space, you must exit construction mode for the movement to occur. Let's move it back to the center. Time to add more bowls to illustrate this type of movement. Reinforcing that the initial and final distance will always only have one free space. This way it is guaranteed that the companion will only move to that position. And with that, we end the companion's movement with items. There are still many details about this method that can be shown in the future, but this is the basis of it. I won't give an example since this method is only used for small adjustments, but it will be used a lot in the future. I hope you enjoyed this guide. See you next time.